Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Ōkami walkthrough. We're back in Sasa Sanctuary. Because we believe that Kaguya has come here for some reason. She mentioned that she needed to come to Sasa Sanctuary to go to the Royal Crest or something or other. So I think we need to see what the hell's going on here. And, oh god, this is one of the most heartbreaking bits in the game. Oh! Oh, this entire scene just... it breaks my heart. And it breaks my heart even more now, knowing the actual story of the tale of the bamboo cutter. And annoyingly, I still can't actually talk about element of Kaguya's design. Basically, I've got to wait until the end of the game for that. Which is really annoying! But we've got a little mini-game here, which is quite fun. Basically, it's another digging mini-game! Which is always fun. This one's not horrendously bad. Difficult, but you're just kind of digging all the way down. It's not as awful as Bingo's was, because that was evil. I suppose whilst we're digging, I should start off discussing the narrative of the tale of the bamboo cutter. So, one day while walking in the bamboo forest, an old childless bamboo cutter called Takatori no Okina, the old man who harvests bamboo, came across a mysterious shining stalk of bamboo. After cutting it open, he found inside it an infant the size of his thumb. So think about like Thumbelina and Tom Thumb and all those fairy tales. He rejoiced to find such a beautiful girl and took her home. He and his wife raised her as their own child and named her Kaguya Hime. Or, slightly more accurately, Naotake no Kaguya Hime, Princess of Flexible Bamboos Scattering Light. Thereafter, the bamboo cutter found that whenever he cut down a stalk of bamboo, inside would be a small nugget of gold. Soon he became rich. Kaguya Hime grew from a small baby into a woman of ordinary size and extraordinary beauty. At first, the bamboo cutter tried to keep her away from outsiders, but over time the news of her beauty spread. Eventually, 5 princes came to the bamboo cutter's residence to ask for Kaguya Hime's hand in marriage. The princes eventually persuaded the bamboo cutter to tell a reluctant Kaguya Hime to choose from among them. Kaguya Hime concocted impossible tasks for the princes, agreeing to marry the one who managed to bring her his specified item. That night, the bamboo cutter told the 5 princes what each must bring. The first was told to bring her the stone begging bowl of the Buddha from Nepal, the second a jewelled branch from the mythical island of Harai, the third the legendary robe of the fire rat of China, the fourth a coloured jewel from a dragon's neck, and the final prince a cowrie shell born of swallows. Realising that it was an impossible task, the first prince returned with an expensive bowl, but after noticing that the bowl did not glow with the holy light, Kaguya Hime saw through his deception. Likewise, 2 other princes attempted to deceive her with fakes, but also failed. The fourth gave up after encountering a storm, while the final prince lost his life, severely injured in some versions in his attempt. After this, the Emperor of Japan, Mikado, came to see the strangely beautiful Kaguya Hime, and upon falling in love, asked her to marry him. Although he was not subjected to the impossible trials that had thwarted the princes, Kaguya Hime rejected his request for marriage as well, telling him that she was not of his country, and thus could not go to the palace with him. She stayed in contact with the Emperor but continued to rebuff his requests and marriage proposals. And now we begin to get to the point where this spaceship bamboo shoot comes into focus. Because this is going to take Kaguya back. And the bamboo cutter is actually telling the story that I just told, basically. And oh god, the emotions, the feels. And so, for helping Kaguya out, we get the fire tablet, which is exactly the thing that we needed to actually progress. And now it's time for Kaguya to leave, just as she does in the story. Not in the exact same fashion, of course, because they didn't have spaceships back then, but she does return from whence she came, and it's all really heartbreaking. Now, I would go into the specifics of where Kaguya has gone, but it's kind of a spoiler. But basically, she realises that she's not of this world, and for a while is unable to tell them what's wrong, but then she does say that she needs to return to her true people. In some versions there's a whole thing about a temporary punishment. In others she's sent to Earth for her own safety, which I think may be the version that is being used in Ōkami here. Basically the gold that the bamboo cutter finds is sent down to help for Kaguya's upkeep. And then she has to leave. She doesn't necessarily want to go, but she has to. So she writes notes to her notes of apology to her parents and to the Emperor, giving her parents her own robe as a memento, and a small taste of the elixir of life for the Emperor. And basically, as soon as a feather robe is placed on her shoulders, all of her sadness and compassion for the people of Earth is forgotten, and she returns from whence she came, which is... oh, it's horrible. But the important thing to take from the story is that once the Emperor gets the elixir of life and the letter from Kaguya, he asks his servants which mountain is closest place to heaven. To which one replied, the great mountain of Suruga province. The Emperor orders his men to take the letter to the summit of the mountain and burn it in the hope that it would reach the distant princess. They were also commanded to burn the elixir of immortality, since the Emperor did not wish to live forever without being able to see her. Legend has it that the word immortality, Fushi or Fuji, became the name of the mountain, Mount Fuji. It's also said that the kanji for the mountain, literally mountain abounding with warriors, are derived from the Emperor's army ascending the slopes of the mountain to carry out this order. It's said that smoke from the burning of the elixir of life and so on still rises to this day. Obviously it's not quite as accurate now because it's not quite so volcanically active, but in the past it was a hell of a lot more. So yeah, that is the end of Kaguya and the Bamboo Cutter's story, and oh, it just breaks my heart. I mean, when I saw the Studio Ghibli film, The Tale of Princess Kaguya, oh my god. Like, get to the end, literally just tears streaming down the face. It's like, I don't even care, this is heartbreaking. And the scene in Ōkami here is also beautiful. I've probably slightly ruined the effect by blathering over the top of it, but I think you still get the general effect, and oh. Now, technically we've got all the free space to do stuff in the Commoner's Quarter right now, but I am going to just continue the plot a little bit more. Because seeing as we have the fire tablet, we can now go see Himiko. And we really should go see Himiko. Get the plot moving along a bit further. I mean, what I wanted to do was just have a full part for the Kaguya story conclusion, but that didn't quite work out. So, smush Kaguya and Himiko together. If you're wondering about any sorts of, like, the musical stuff going, we had Kaguya's Theme 1, Kaguya's Theme 2, Launching Iron Bamboo Shoots, and Kaguya's Journey, which were, I think, pretty much all of the songs involved in that sequence. If not, we had at least Launching Iron Bamboo Shoots and Kaguya's Journey played, with Kaguya's theme turning up at least one point. Now, if we head into this elevator, or lift, I should probably call it a lift, because that is, you know, the British way to call things, then we are going to reach this Sea of Flames, and the game is going to tell us about holy artifacts, which you should have already come across at this point. But we need that fire tablet that we got from Kaguya to progress. Basically, it allows us to swim in fire. I've no idea how they actually managed to, you know, construct that entire corridor, but it looks damn cool, so I'll let it slide. And I believe, I'll point this out now because I may be a little bit quiet going into this cutscene because there's a lot of exposition coming. Musically, we're going to have Queen Himiko's Shrine in the Mosquito's Net and Queen Himiko's Sorrow playing throughout this rather long cutscene. Because here at last is Queen Himiko. And yes, this is Queen Himiko. And Issun is a goner. You really can't deal with anything when you see a pretty lady, can you, Issun? Yes, we find out right now that Himiko isn't evil. Not in the slightest. And in fact, she's been trying to protect everyone, just really, really struggling. But there are a few fun things to note about Himiko. So, for instance, she is one of very few characters in the entire Ōkami series to have their names in the original Japanese versions written not in katakana but entirely in kanji, signifying that she bears a strong cultural relevance and importance. And whilst she discusses all the stuff to do with Oni Island and all of that, there is a very specific reason for that. So, Himiko, in all likeliness, is based on the shaman queen of Yamatai-goku in ancient Japan. Basically, she is a legendary figure, and what's frustrating is that there's not exactly a whole lot of true historical facts going on with Himiko. So, I mean, early Japanese histories don't mention her, but there is I think an early Chinese dynastic, or a few early Chinese dynastic histories chronicling relations between Queen Himiko and Chao Wei, well, the Chao Wei kingdom, and record that the Yayoi period people chose her as ruler following decades of warfare among the kings of Wa. So, in the end, Himiko ends up being very much like Japan's version of King Arthur. I figured that there is perhaps little historical evidence for, but who is a very strong force within the cultural consciousness of the country. And at least, kind of in medieval times, formed a very strong thing to rally around, in a way. She's also kind of like France's Charlemagne in that manner, but Charlemagne actually does have historical facts behind him, it's just that his reign was mythologized in the end. Now, Himiko is also the only character in Ōkami to be completely invulnerable against any of Ami's attacks and tackling. She's shielded by a divine force field rather than elusively evading it like Waka does. Although I find it odd that Issun tried to get up close to her and then couldn't, and then we've just kind of walked up to her and just having a nice little chat. Very, very close to her, it's bizarre. Now, there's also a thing, I think, in terms of transliterating the way her name is spelt. It's either Himiko or Pimiko, but I think Himiko is the much more accepted version, largely because it sounds better. But she's appeared, well, the name and the idea of the character has appeared in so much stuff. I mean, the most recent example I can think of is the Tomb Raider reboot, where Himiko forms the main antagonist for the game, although I really dislike everything that they did with that. But bringing it back to something that's actually quite good is that, as a small little thing in Bayonetta, Himiko is mentioned as being a historical witch. So, in one of those many, many item descriptions, Himiko is mentioned, so Hideki Kamiya bringing it all back to Ōkami once again, because he likes referencing his games, and that's just, makes me so happy. There's a reason I wrote an entire dissertation on intersexuality, and included Hideki Kamiya as a prime example of that, because it's just glorious. But now we have done all the plots that we can do, we just need to head past the city... oh god, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a checkpoint, and get to North Ryushima Coast. But before we actually do that, we've got all of the side quests available to us in the commoners' quarters of Seian City. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next few parts. Because there is so much to do in Seian City, it's unreal. It really, truly is. Like, I have no idea how they managed to fit so much in this place. Because when you think about it, the Commoners' Quarter, although it feels big and lived and stuff, is actually a really small space in comparison to Shinshu Field, Ryushima Coast, and most definitely, when we get to it, Northern Ryushima Coast, because that place is gigantic. And the Commoners' Quarters is pretty small in comparison. But we will be getting into all of that in the next part. I think we're going to have some fun here.